Welcome to How Preschool Teachers Do It.
This is Alison Kentos. I am an early childhood educator.
And this is Cindy Tarabush. I am an early childhood consultant.
This podcast is for parents and early childhood professionals.
Let our experience and research-based knowledge become your guide. Hello, preschool peeps.
Hi, peeps.
We are here today to talk about all things science area.
Yay.
It's an area that I wanted to talk about because it's so neglected most of the time.
So very neglected. And I think a little misunderstood.
I think so too. You know, I'll walk into spaces and they'll be like, oh yeah, and there's our science area. And it's like one tiny shelf, no table, no
shelf. Yeah.
It's
no
like
table.
one miniature shelf, no table. And it's got some, maybe if you live like where we do, where the leaves could be changing, it's got some like pine cones, acorns, and leaves over there because it's fall.
Yeah.
And I've actually walked into programs where it's more like winter and that stuff's still over there, which is fine, but nothing's been changed or added. And it's just kind of a neglected area. And I think one reason is that so many of us, and I will include myself, this doesn't include Allison, but it definitely includes me. I will include myself. So many of us are kind of uncomfortable with that area.
Yeah. Most people don't gravitate to science like I do. But kids naturally do. Kids are natural scientists, so oftentimes I'll go into schools and what I see in the science center is farm animals, usually with a farm. Or
if you want children to understand farm animals, you need to go to a farm.
Go to the farm. But also I see this, and it always bothers me, but it's always there. The dinosaurs. The dinosaurs are always in there.
They don't belong in your science area. People now are like, what? They don't belong in your science area. If you're going to have dinosaurs in the room, actually, if you're going to think about the environmental rating scales and curriculum and what they tell us, do you know where the dinosaurs go, Allison? She's going to be afraid now. Do you know where they go?
I don't. I would put them in the block area.
Nope.
But I think like farm animals should go in dramatic play.
So dinosaurs do not go in the block area or the dramatic play area, say experts in this, because they incite violent play, which is true.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah.
If you want dinosaurs in your space, they can go over in the manipulatives area and you can sort them, categorize them, count them.
Interesting. See, now I always tend to not put dinosaurs in at all.
You can do that too.
Well, only because I always felt like it's not something that the kids can really experience. So therefore, like if you put they're going to have questions about dinosaurs and I might be able to answer them by like looking it up on Google, but they can't like explore it themselves. So I'm like, whereas farm animals, they kind of can, like you put zoo animals over there. Yeah, I could take you to the zoo to answer those questions. But I can't ever take you to go see dinosaurs in real life, So it's not like a real life concept. And I feel like that makes it confusing for kids sometimes.
One of the things that we know about young children is that they don't necessarily connect the things they see in a classroom with the real world. And if we really want them to learn about living things, which is one of the things that should be addressed in your science area, you should have living things, then we have to have an actual living thing over there, not a plastic farm animal. And I'm not saying go get a cow and bring it into your classroom. What I'm saying is you need to figure out what living thing you can have in your science area. The science area should cover all the sciences. So you should have things that represent a child's ability to explore physical science, physics, movement, all of that stuff. So physical science, biology. So we should have a living thing over there. Can be as simple as plants.
Yes.
More complicated, like a pet, like fish, or whatever pets you are allowed in your program. And so we did, what did I do? I did physical, biology, and earth science.
Earth science.
We need things from earth science. So yes, those fall items should be over there. That's part of earth science. But we, to just sort of take things and go, here it is, it's in a bowl, it's in the science area, go check it out. That's not going to do it. We have to be active participants in the science area with them.
Right. And I think there's
show them
things
how
that
to explore.
Always, like, because those kind of things, I feel like, think of like dramatic play where you're constantly switching out your dramatic play to something else. Your science center should be the same way. So like if it's fall, put your fall items in there. But also put in things that enable them to explore those items, like magnifying glasses, so they can get up close
Mhm.
and see the things. I would say like a scale, so they could be like, oh, what's heavier, leaves or pine cones? Like one of those scales. um I'm trying to think of other things, like
Make sure
maybe
you
some.
have make
Oh,
sure
go
you have
ahead.
enough items that they can sort them. So you want sorting
Yes.
trays, right?
Yes, sorting
Because
trays would be good.
if I give them a whole bunch of real items, like we'll keep going back to these fall items, if
Yeah.
we give them a whole bunch of different size pine cones and a whole bunch of different color leaves, and we have sorting trays for them and tweezers and magnifying
Magnifying
glasses and all that stuff,
glasses.
we can model and inspire sorting, classifying things is part of science. Isn't
Yeah.
science full of classification?
It's yes. Yeah, I feel like it's a lot of it. you know it's
Yeah.
a lot.
So
I also always tend to have like a clipboard and paper over there for kids to like write down things, like like what is, because when I like actively participate in science with them, which is a lot, I pretend to be a scientist. And what do scientists do? They have theories, so like I'll go over and be like, if you have a question, let's write it down, and then we're going to figure out how we can prove or disprove our theory. If you're having this, I feel like pine cones are heavier than leaves. Okay, now what do we need to do in order to prove or disprove that your theory of pine cones being heavier than leaves? Or it could be even like, do I think pine cones sink in water? Okay, now what do I need to do? I need water, but like then I always write it down, because scientists are always writing things down. And then that also links to literacy and reading for the kids, and they
you know
see like that's what it links together. I can ask a question, it could be written down, I could solve this problem, and it record everything.
it would be kind of cool to have visuals there that walk them through the scientific process.
Yes,
So let's
that
say
would be
you
cool.
had a visual there in that area that first has question marks, and we teach them this
Mhm.
is when you ask questions, or you have some sort of visual of someone being
Yeah,
curious, asking
yeah,
question,
yeah,
right? But question marks, and then something that would symbolize hypothesis or your best guess,
yeah, yeah.
then something that would symbolize experiment, and
Hmm.
something that would symbolize evaluation and determining if
Yes,
you're the answer to your question. It would be wonderful to have visuals over there that walk them through that, because they're going to need to use that scientific method
yes,
for always. When you think
always.
about, even
Yeah.
as an adult, there are so many things that we wonder, right? We have questions about, we form a hypothesis without even realizing that that's what we're doing.
All the
We
time. Yeah.
we do something, we perform some action, and we determine if our hypothesis was correct. The
Yeah.
scientific method has been so ingrained in, this takes place in science class for us, but actually it takes place
It's
all the
all the
time.
time. If you're cooking dinner, that could be a whole method in science right there. Let me see. I'm going to throw this spice on here. Is it going to taste good? Then I taste it. Oh, no, it doesn't taste good. Now I know next time, which is typical in my cooking. If you guys know me, I am a recipe follower for a reason, but like I know people who could just throw things together in a pan and it works. But they might throw things together in a pan one time and it works brilliantly. And then the next time they're like, put too much salt. See, all of that is like, let me test out this. The way to test it out is to taste it. Okay, that didn't work. Now I know next time not to do that. And when I go back to the kitchen, I know next time I got to do something different. And
Right.
that kind of changes, which is what scientists are constantly doing. They have a theory of like, this is going to cure cancer, say, and then they test it and it doesn't. Okay, we got to go back to the drawing board and start all over again. And I think that the Science Center teaches kids like, you don't give up. Like, just because your hypothesis is disproven doesn't mean your steps were wrong. You just got to go back, tweak it, start again, prove or disprove again, and you just keep going back and back and back. That's a whole like process of science and the process of inquiry. Is like you are constantly questioning things,
Which
and your
is
questions will
a
change as
really
your
good thing.
experiments go. Yeah, and you have to
Yeah,
keep
it's a really
questioning
good thing.
things. Yeah.
I wonder, um, if there are certain things that we do with children, like, for example, we may be in the area of the classroom that we have labeled art, but we're actually doing a scientific experiment with
Oh,
mixing colors.
mixing colors
Maybe
is, yeah.
maybe we should have some color mixing materials in our art area, but we should also have some color mixing materials in our science area. And I think that we should walk around our classrooms and think, what of this goes somewhere else or can be added, like we can divide it up a little bit. Another example would be if we're going to talk about physics, we have our block area where we can build ramps and launch balls down ramps and check out speed and all that stuff. But we also need things in the science area that help children explore things like velocity, speed, and physics. So we need to think about, what do we need in each area? And I know you're thinking right now, well, they're going to come and rate my classroom for some quality rating system, and they're not going to want to see blocks in the science area. Well, how you cure that is you put up some sort of explanation that's like, you can use these materials to do this. So you can put up something that says, check out rolling and speed with these materials, with a picture of the materials in the area, right? Check this out with these. Hopefully that would help. I also want to encourage everybody to have nonfiction books in your science area that will inspire children to think about physics and earth science and biology.
Yeah. Plus, like, I always like, depending on whatever's in that science center, like, say, I don't know why we keep coming back to autumn and leaves, but hey, say it's autumn and leaves. Okay.
Yeah, I wonder why we keep coming back to autumn and leaves.
Yeah, because it's fall, I will, go to the library. And if you have a library in your school, I usually would take the kids with me to the library and be like, go to the librarian and say, hey, we're learning about autumn leaves. Do you have any nonfiction books about autumn leaves and things like that? Do you have books about trees from around the world, so they could see, like, hey, there's different things around the world? But if you don't have a library in your school, because I know some schools don't, and they don't have the librarian, I go to the library myself and I just pick out some books, or sometimes I have like a lot of science books in my closet, but I know most people are not like me. And I will pull those out and I put them in so they can look at these nonfiction books. And that's like another way to say, like, no, you can research this. And I know some people have like, okay, but those books are meant for like 8, 9, 10-year-olds. Yeah, I don't care. I put them in there anyway. Because, like, first off, they have the photos that the kids want to see. And I'm not afraid of big words with little kids. So I will read those books with the kids. And now they might learn what, I don't know, condensation means because I used it. And they saw a picture of it in this nonfiction book that was meant for a 10-year-old, and I do that all the time. I put in a whole tree field guide in there, which is meant for adults. And they will like flip through and they learn how to use a field guide to look up trees and stuff. Yeah.
Isn't there I could be wrong here, but isn't there a children's almanac that you can put over there?
Probably, yeah.
But I also want to encourage you to not have, like, let's say it is, this episode's coming out right before fall. Let's say it is fall and you've got autumn items over there. I put books about other things too and other materials too. Yes. We tend to also very narrowly put things in the science area. We want to make sure, like for me, for example, I don't know, I might not be interested in the leaves and the acorns and all that. I see that all the time. I've seen it all the time. It's outside my front door. What I might be interested instead are the color mixing, the the ramps. I might be interested in something that I actually don't do or see at home. So we want the science area to appeal. And really, still, one way, I'm going to repeat, one way to get it to appeal to children to go over and experiment and try things is for you to be there and model it, and not just kind of put ourselves in that art or writing area or that manipulatives area. We also need to spend time in science.
Yeah, because they're not going to know how to use the materials unless they're modeled. Like, those are some of those materials are, you wouldn't know how to use them unless somebody showed you. And then once you're shown, it's like, teach a kid to fish and they have fish for life kind of thing. Like, like, and then they can be over there sometimes by themselves and experimenting with magnets and magnifying glasses and whatever you have over there. But like, until they really know how to use it, they don't know how to have the scientific mind. You know what I mean? They don't know, they might have all these questions, but not know how to like focus it. And that's where you come in, and you got to focus it for them. And then they're on their own again.
And even once they know how to use it, what is our job as teachers? Our job as teachers is to help them to expand their current knowledge. So let's say a child knows how to use the magnifying glass. They've been using it for several years. What we can do is show them something about using the magnifying glass. For example, if they're looking at something with it. We can point out these tiny little things, and then we can offer them paper and say, would you like to draw that? Let's see if you can draw what you're seeing. And we teach them then about recording what they're seeing. So you're not just looking, you're recording what you're looking at. And that's a really important part of that scientific process too, is to record what you're looking at so that you can reconsider it in the future. You also can have materials over there to write with them, to create science books with them.
Oh, yes, the science
about their explorations and experiments.
Yeah.
This can, very often I'll walk into classrooms and they don't have a dedicated writing area because writing takes place everywhere. Children who are in the block area are writing with people to create signs. Children in dramatic play are writing based on whatever story they're making up. Children in art there's writing happening. And by the way, when I say writing, I don't necessarily mean the children writing. I mean dictation sometimes. If the children are not developmentally ready to write, what they should be doing is dictating to you and watching you write their words.
Yeah.
So there could be dictation and writing going on in that way anywhere in the room. Science is a great place to do that. So you find out what is their hypothesis, what's their, based on their question, what's their best guess. We write about that. And then we write what happened, and we take pictures or have them draw what happened along the way. And I've seen people do that, like, we're going to plant a seed. Let's do different chapters of a book or different pages in a book about the progress of that plant. But you can really do that about any science.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you've never written a book with children about the progress of their plant, it's a great experience. You can actually do one class book where, let's say, chapter 1 is the seed, and the children decide what they tell you. What did the seed feel like? What did the seed look like? What did they think of the seed? And everybody gets a page in the seed chapter. And then you can have the sprout chapter and then the growth chapter. So we did this one year in a school in which I worked. And the one chapter was about when it sprouted, and one child's seeds just didn't, I don't know what happened, but that's science, right? What did the children learn? They learned that not every scientific endeavor works out the way you think, that nature has its own course.
Yes.
So this one child's did sprout. So we come to that chapter and the children are writing about it sprouting and growing in the subsequent chapters. And this poor child had just kind of dirt. And we said, do you want to try new seeds? And he didn't want to. And his page about that was, they said I could try new seeds, but I'm just going to say it's not working.
I love it.
It was so cute. It was so cute. The family, by the way, loved it. And every page after that, that child just wanted to say, when we would say, what do you want to do? He would say, just put it didn't work. And we would just put it didn't work.
Oh, no.
It didn't work. It didn't work.
Oh, well,
and we kept offering, right? We kept offering too. We kept saying, we'll help. We'll do another seed. Nope. Just put it didn't work. That's what he wanted to do.
Too funny.
It's too bad that there are people like me who maybe didn't so much enjoy science class for whatever reason. Yeah. And so it has bled into some of our teaching. And I hope that you'll rethink that science area as you head into the school year and think, how can I make this appeal to more children based on their interests, figure out what they're interested in at the beginning of a school year, and start to put things that would lend themselves to one of the areas of science based on the children's interests over there. Children who love to take the trains and run them around the tracks, well, they're really interested in speed.
Yeah.
So put things over there having to do with speed. Children who are very sensory and just want to smell and touch everything. They need not dead leaves over there. They need real flowers and stuff over there so that they can smell and watch grow. We should absolutely have that living thing over there because children learn to care for living things. It's not just about observing the living thing. It's also about caring for it. And the children should actively participate in caring for it.
Yes. Yes.
That said, you're taking it home during breaks, people.
Yeah. Like I've had fish in the classroom and the kids take care of it while we're there. But then, it's a lot to bring that little fishy home during Christmas break, but you have to. It's the sacrifice you make.
I remember when my kids were in school and it was like different children got to take things home, like things, got to take these living things home. And you would all of a sudden be in charge of the class pet
Yeah,
for a
that's a
weekend.
lot.
That was nerve-wracking. Can I
That's a
say, as a
lot.
parent, parents out there now are like, yeah, you tell them. That's kind of nerve-wracking, that
That's a lot.
responsibility.
I've never sent home alive. Have I? No, well, one time I had a pet and it was during break and one of the parents volunteered to take it. I was like, okay, enjoy, but be careful, but she volunteered. And then, but I've done it more like not where it was like mandatory, like you have to take this fish or this hamster or whatever it is you got for a weekend. That's a lot. That's a lot of it. I've done like take the stuffed animal home. Okay.
No, the
Go
hamster
take
is a
Coco
lot.
home. The hamster's a lot. The fish is a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah.
You have to. I used to tell the teachers when I ran a program and my teachers would say, I want to bring in I had one time, someone had a frog as their class pet. Someone had
That's awesome.
multiple fish. Yeah, the
Yeah.
frog was cool to look at, but as the director, I was very much like, okay, you need to know that I'm not caring for this.
Yeah.
You're going to have to make sure that you can take it home on breaks and all. Keeping that clean is no one else's responsibility but yours.
But yours,
I was very clear if the teacher wanted to bring it into the room, that keeping it clean and alive for as long as possible was their responsibility. I'll tell you what, though, children learn amazing lessons when that fish dies. They learn the circle of life.
Yeah. Well, there's some really cool things that you can also do. Like I had a frog in my classroom. It was one of those water frogs that they came in the mail and they came as like tadpoles and you
Yeah.
could watch them go
Yeah.
through the whole cycle. And then you have this huge frog after a while, which is like taking care of a fish because it never left the water. I don't know what kind of frog that is, but yeah, it was a water. It would just swim in the water. So you'd have this fish tank. And
Wow.
I remember one time I was moving a shelf and the whole fish tank fell and the froggies
no!
were all over the school. I had 2 of them. And they hopped all over the school and we had to go find them. But I'll tell you, like the kids and some of the parents, that happened years ago. And I still have parents on my Facebook page who be like, do you remember when Jesus and Big Tony got it? Now that's what the kids named the frogs, Jesus and Fat Tony. Okay.
Interesting.
And then, yeah, we had a vote. It was them. And they're like, do you remember that? And I was like, how could I forget that? They're like, do you know that little Johnny still talks about that day? Because it was so funny how they were like, the kids were running around trying to catch these frogs, so it was like memories come from these little things that you think, and
we
all
had
the
fish named
that we
Peanut
had.
Butter and Jelly. Again, a vote.
That's great.
It was a vote in the class. They named them Peanut Butter and Jelly. And Jelly lived way longer than Peanut Butter.
Yeah.
So, good for Jelly, but it was rough going with Peanut Butter.
It is rough, yeah. It's rough when they die. Or I had a fish named Indigo, and he was a beta fish, and he did die. So I went to the store and I bought another Indigo that looked nothing like their
And you didn't tell the children that this fish died?
And I didn't tell them, and then nobody noticed. Which now, looking back, I'm like, I should have just talked to them about it, but I was like young at the time and I was like, oh god, what am I gonna do? Just dump another fish in there. It's easy to get another blue beta fish. I just
dumped it. The kids know. I just feel like
nobody said anything to me. And I was like, okay. That's not the right thing to do though. That was not right. But I was really like, I think it was like my first or second year teaching at that point. I was just like, I don't know what to do.
I can understand teachers not wanting to get into the death conversation. I really can. In which case you just go buy yourself another goldfish. I guess.
Right, because sometimes it's like a family, everybody's family believes differently about the death and everything. So like sometimes it's hard, but it's also, it's life too.
I think it's okay to say to children when you bring a pet in like that or something, to say to children, they don't live very long. We don't know how long Peanut Butter and Jelly will be here, but we're going to enjoy them while they're here. So if we set it up like, goldfish in a classroom don't necessarily live very long. Although I got to say, Jelly really lasted a long time into the next school year and everything. Sometimes they last a long time. But again, if we preface it by saying they don't live very long, but we're going to do our best.
Yeah.
And then just, that's, and then when they're gone, we can say to the children, do you want to get another one?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't think that we have to dive deeply into the death conversation if that's something that we are uncomfortable with or our programs say not to. I don't think we have to dive deeply in. We can just say, peanut butter is gone.
Yeah. Or I think you'd let the parents know and be like, hey, this happened in
Yeah.
our classroom.
Yeah.
Please handle this how you would like to handle it at home. Here's how we're going to handle it in the
That's great
classroom,
advice. Yeah.
and then they can continue the conversation at home or ignore it if they don't want to talk about it, but then they can put their family spin on their beliefs in death and stuff like that. So like you're not saying it and be like, hey, peanut butter and jellies they're gone now, and move on kind of thing. But let the parents
Yes.
handle the whole death conversation at home.
I think it's a great idea. And I honestly don't remember how we handled it when poor peanut butter left us, but it was
Yeah.
in a class. I was the director. I don't remember how the teacher handled it, but it is a great idea to say to the families, here's what happened.
Yeah.
Handle it as you wish at home. I'm bringing in a new goldfish next
Yeah.
Monday.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
all can do what you want with that or what you
Right.
feel comfortable with.
Right.
But at least they'll learn to take care of that living
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
Again, if you don't want to do something like fish, you can just have plants.
Plants.
So
I do a
simple. They can
lot
take
of
care of
plants because
plants.
after dealing with the fish for many, many years, now I like plants to
She's
begin
like,
with. And let me tell you, when the
plant.
plant dies, you're just like, okay, we'll just, hey, maybe next time we'll put less water. You can do a whole experiment about that.
Right.
But plants are so much easier to take home too during the
Says
holidays.
you. I kill
Says me.
plants. Plants come to my
No,
home to die.
no.
My kids, when I would bring plants home, my kids were always like, no, save a life. Give it to someone else. When people gave me
Oh
plants at the end
no,
of the
I have
school year,
so many plants
no,
in
I'm
my
terrible with
house.
plants. I'm terrible. I'm really good with young
Oh,
children, folks. I'm just terrible with plants. Um, all right. Before we let you go and beef up your science areas and announce who has joined our top five around the world and within the United States, we want to make sure that you are aware that we have started a Patreon. Patreon is a place where creators go and supporters can sign up and gain benefits, and it would enable us to beef up and improve, add on to, not subtract from, but add on to the things that we provide to our preschool peep community. So please go to patreon.com. It's patreon.com/how preschool teachers do it, and check out how you can be a patron for as little as $5 a month.
mhm.
And if you want more information about it, you can go to our Facebook page and our website, and there's the longer version of this information there. Okay, but now down to where are the peeps who are checking out our Patreon?
Yeah.
So this week we want to welcome to our top 5 from around the world, Australia. I don't think we've
Yay. I
said
don't think we've
Australia.
done
Maybe we
Australia.
have. Sorry, maybe we have if we
Maybe we
already did, but
have. You're
hey,
in the
Australia.
top 5, regardless if we mentioned you or not. Yeah.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
Yeah.
They're eventually going to repeat, right?
Yeah.
And within the United States, this week in the top 5, Louisiana.
Yeah.
That's
That's
a place I
exciting.
have not been.
I've
Have
never
you been
been
to
there
Louisiana?
either.
Hmm.
I've heard
We
it's
need to go
beautiful
there.
there, though.
Yeah.
So hi, peeps from Louisiana.
And maybe we will get down there eventually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, preschool peeps, go check out our Patreon. Go set up your science area. Get some nonfiction books over there. Inspire children, put up visuals, do your thing, and make it a highlight of your classroom rather than
Yeah.
something that's just over there on the side.
Yeah.
We'll catch you next time, peeps.
Bye, peeps.